games, especially for me, Woomy is definitely one that strikes all with vanilla as well, and it's basically half Honkai, half new information for that roster. Starfall. Now, I don't know if this is I see a logo, so this is a legitimate team, but I will call out here that their team in Sendu is not exactly that. So I'm gonna have many questions about them not uploading their logos to their Sendu team profile. Have some personality, Starfall. You should probably fix it afterwards if you're an established team. But that's the team that they're up against, and I think this should be a fun best of three. Best of three, I believe. Yes, best of three coming up.
Oh my god. Okay. Sorry. My cats are going absolutely bonkers. They know we're in for some good Splatoon gameplay, and so they are bouncing off all of the walls. We do have, I think, Allegro is a brush player, so I always like watching Inkbrush when, I just always like watching Inkbrush. I can't mash that fast, but it's very interesting in the way that they play. But might be a little bit more difficult. Zones Hagglefish is what we are going to be teeing off on for our first match of the quarterfinals, and a little bit of a one-way street here in the middle. Very narrow, hard to push through. Makes the flanks very important, but also difficult.
I've been surrounded by a lot of good Inkbrush players for my time. I know a good friend of mine's Kraken will call me out if I don't mention his name for sure. But I've definitely I see some amazing brush players. I'm kind of with you. Unfortunately, I'm at the point where I don't have the tap speed because I think it would actually hurt my wrists now if I keep doing it for a prolonged period of time. Look, Chad, if you end up getting older, your wrists just get slower and slower. It gets more painful. It absolutely sucks. So if you're young and you like playing Inkbrush Inkbrush, enjoy it while you can. It's not going to get any better when you get old. But back to the zones game here. Yeah, it's going to be Hagglefish market zones, and I do agree it is a much more narrow pathway that players will have to deal with. There too, Allegro has that Inkbrush that I would love to see, and I'm personally I'm a huge fan of any type of weapons that show up. It could be anything that we could dish out here. And I think you can go a lot of different ways. And of course, the second map, since we run a variety of zones, Tower Control and Clan Blitz being the middle one is going to be intriguing to see for everybody watching. And I mean, Fusion, I know we got the first map coming up. I want to say that the cats that you have more energy than I do in this evening, just for context.
It's always time for an 8 p.m. cup of coffee, perhaps.
No. I know we're the coffee duo, but this is where it's way past the coffee time.
It's not the right time for that whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. We're about to cue right in. I'm gonna hop in for you in this one. Presentation's the alpha side, Starfall's in the Bravo side. I mean, this is almost as standard of a weapon set you're gonna see across the board. Here, I think of all things, the weird weapon of choice is actually probably the Inkbrush and Heavy Edit. But otherwise, both teams, at least I'll give both teams props here. Unique weapons across the board. I'm actually excited to see how both teams use their weapons so far. As we do get a bit of a duel, Starfall will take the first cap. Probably not for long though, Fusion.
Not too big of an advantage. They kind of end up just grabbing the cap, not able to move entirely through that zone. So Presentation's pretty quickly able to bounce back. That crab not able to get any mileage, but a failed punish is going to allow Woomy to find a pick, but that's not going to matter because Starfall is outnumbering the remainder of Presentation. They're going to clean up mid here and have a very nice setup for a hold as they get extra specials online to defend.
I love actually what Allegro just did, by the way, just running through the trip strikes, trying to see if they can catch Starfall in the midst of a smoke screen effectively from the trip strikes, but they weren't able to get any picks whatsoever there. It leads to Starfall being able to extend this push a little bit more, and I think a Reefsire was burned, but to no success. It is still a lot of points that Starfall is taking advantage of here. Presentation finally popping their specials. There is a chance for Presentation to get the zones, and they're able to do so. The trip strikes are being thrown. If anything, Presentation buys themselves a little bit of time. Actually, I take that back. They bought themselves a zone and more points on the board. But so far, Presentation might be able to keep this push going. There's a looming Reef Slider and a looming Bubble on the other side of Starfall that they could take advantage of.
Yeah, they are able to cap that zone, which is going to apply a bit of a penalty, give them a little bit of breathing room, but unfortunately not able to find too much more out of it. Now a very nice pinch from Fazbaz and Zippycaster is going to enable them to start a push. They get that bubble onto the enemy plat, but just the trade means this isn't going to be a full lockout on its own. The crab ends up getting taken out, but Starfall ended up having to back pretty far up in order to defend themselves. So Presentation has a lot of room to work with here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, and Presentation actually originally had that crab that was available. Duelist got sent away back to spawn, and I'm actually kind of curious to see what Presentation can really do so far. Maybe this is the opening that they need, because they got 2 members that they've eliminated. Now they have a crab that is available from the dualies as well. Lego did go down from earlier that I'd be wanting to keep some eyes on here, as Lumi effectively pops it, now tries to throws it from range, and there's only the decap that drops, but it buys them the space that they need here. Fusion S-Blast is going down. Fazbraz still using that Dreadringer to its best to its potential at the very least, but so far Presentation is able to get a nice little counter push. They might be looking for a lead here soon if they're able to sustain it here, Fusion.
Yeah, Presentation is going to take that timer even lower. Fazbaz with that Reef Slider is going to get up towards the zone just in the nick of time, and that is going to be Starfall grabbing the zone back before they lose that lead. But unfortunately for them, Presentation was waiting with those super jumps on the other side of that splat zone, and that means they were not prepared for a quick attack. So Presentation getting two quick picks, which will allow them to shift that momentum. Still, very neutral situation turns into Starfall's favor as a 3 down. Let Starfall grab back that zone and just cover the map in a sea of blue once again, Kyun.
A sea of blue it is for Starfall, and they're able to keep this one going. But Mumi, of course, being able to skirmish correctly here, and it's actually almost getting the wipeout. There's the wipeout, but it did cost Mumi's life there, so Mumi will probably be respawning and will be hopping in here shortly with the super jump looming in. So for Presentation, minute and 10 seconds left here, they have a chance to keep this to keep the pressure going, and but they are having to face a looming Reef Slider, a looming bubble that could be used. Also, there's a clip which is popped right away, and here is that Reef Slider that takes out the crab, but at the cost of their own life. And this will be Presentation getting the lead here, and they could be actually looking for the KO if they keep the pressure going. They throw a few splat bombs, that is Nilla throwing a few splat bombs, that is, and pushes Starfall back. There's actually not much in the way of specials other than a desperate buoy bomb that's probably gonna be used here. Phoenix throws it right into the middle of the zone with the burst ball and everything else, but there's no paint left because everybody has dropped there. And Fusion, despite the slow start from Presentation gets the KO at the end, and they win game 1 here in round 2 of the Great White Brackets.
I guess they do, and now in this best of 3, they're just a single win away from making it to semi-finals. I did like at the end of that game there how, I guess, far up that crab ended up being popped. I think that putting the pressure onto Starfall was very important. I think that basically the fact that the Reef Slider and specials had to be burned in order to challenge that crab meant that there's no surprise zone cap. Booyah Bomb does not paint, not even remotely close to what Reef Slider does. So, you know, if you're not able to get with that like Reef Slider like onto the roof, or just because there's that tiny little ledge, right? If you can't get close enough to the zone, or you're not on the roof, you can't really Reef Slide the zone. So just being able to protect and just keep the keep Starfall far enough away where that reef couldn't cap that zone was very important, and allowed them to seal the deal there in that game 1.
Now we go on to game number 2, which almost seems instantaneous here. Both teams have basically they figured something out. Yeah. What timing their Fusion? But I think this, knowing that this is a quick queue, it's not gonna be the same weapons. The answer is pretty much yes. It is basically the same weapons that we saw from game number 1 here in zones. All you gotta do is just change the map and then change the mode, and now you got a different ball game effectively here. So we saw the story from the previous game there. We did see Presentation able to crawl back from the slow start, but they able to take that home to the KO mark, and then Starfall just gonna keep the same amount of weapons. You have the Dreadringer, the S-Blast, and the Decap readily available if they to basically keep that pressure going with the set of specials they have, including the Reef Slider. So I'd be curious to see what Starfall can do. They do get an advantage here. They get the Power Clam spawned in, and Zippycaster throws the first Power Clam for the first push of the game, and that'll be 2 small clams coming in. Nishi providing some jumps here, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to push up quite yet, but they are at least keeping the pressure going here. Fusion, and this is all it is at the end of the day. Fusion, a 1+2 push from Starfall.
Yeah, perhaps not as much as they were hoping to get off of that initial push. The Reef Slider was very well timed, but a lot of members of Presentation ended up being on that high ground because they were off of respawn, so perhaps did not get as much mileage as they were hoping for. As well, a lot of the clams were just ended up sitting pretty far back because the Reef Slider ended up basically suiciding in. The pencil was far back. The sword didn't have any clams, so there wasn't really too many members who were able to move those clams to the basket. As Woomy pulling off some very dynamic movements, but they triple from those dualies, which should open that door at least to let Presentation set up on this right side, get those super jumps in, and prepare for their first push of the game.
Yeah, losing the two members despite a nice little advantage from Woomy did mean that they had to slow it down a bit, which isn't a problem at the end. They are able to get some pressure still in the base of Starfall here, but Starfall's defenses so far are holding up nice here, as Nilly does get a pick onto Fazbaz, and that will be, excuse me, the 1 member drops, and there's a lot of yellow paint on the way to possibly getting that first push going. Zipcaster trying to flank to the other side. They had to drop the power clam there, but it allows it allows the rest of Starfall to take out Nilla. That is, Woomy's gonna go down, and that opportunity is pretty much gone by the wayside. The power clam disappears right in front, right where Presentation was, and Nishi has that power clam spawned in 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the game, and the push that Presentation had is no longer available.
Oh goodness, yeah, the cooler just came out, but 2 members went down without grabbing it. So this is a big opportunity for Presentation. They start to move over towards that right side. Now again, they've kind of repeatedly been running into that blaster and the decav on the enemy plat when they've attempted to make pushes in the past, but ending up getting turned around as the sword ends up rushing behind them, getting under the basket, ending up getting pinched, but it's not going to be the end of Presentation there. They do allow Starfall onto their plat. Starfall not able to capitalize, just ended up going down in the process, trying to give those jumps under the enemy basket, but not able to sit there quite long enough. So yet again, Starfall's finding themselves on defense. They've been on defense a decent bit in this game, despite the fact that they have the lead.
Just the 1 push is really enough here from Starfall. This Presentation, I'm trying to figure out what Presentation could do. There's a lot of amazing plays that Presentation has done, but they're having to fight against a Lumen Reef Slider that Fazbaz just got 1 off of that Reef Slider pick there, but Carlos is able to run right in. But you have some decent range. You're having to rely on the skirts of Allegro and the duelies to do wonders there, and especially when the pathway is so narrow, it allows Zippycaster to try to fight and able to use 1 swing of the decaf to make that 1 count. And that power clam once again gone. Presentation has to spawn another power clam in its place. But even so, Starfall is still pushed back. But Starfall's weapon sets, I feel like, has been giving them a lot of room to maneuver here in this defensive setup. This is probably one of the lower scoring games I think I've seen in a while here in Museum. But there could be a chance. I take that back. There is not much of a chance for a push to start right away. They're just gonna. Allegro's just going to pick up the 7 clams, and Fusion, 1 power clam available, and Presentation still looking for the first push.
Yeah, Presentation's been having a very difficult time. I think part of that is just because they're opting for like a heavy edit comp, they need to play significantly closer together in order for that edit to have an impact on the fights, and it's been feeling like they've been a little bit separated. Wumi's just pulling off some heroics, getting onto the enemy plat, but despite all this, there is no power clam. There's the pity clam under their own basket. So many picks online. There's finally the clam, and it may be too late. The Reef Slider's going to come out and chase that brush backwards. They are going to end up going down by the basket, and despite everything, it's still 100-74. Presentation is going to have to make a push in overtime if they want to take this back. Starfall does not want to let it happen. They know their lead is slim. Can they do it, Keon?
They're still playing, but there's still an opportunity. But the time is not on their side. They're trying to go from the left-hand side, using that box to go right in. And now there's the first push. There's the triple H strikes, and I think they cash in on one. Is the second even there? No, the second isn't even there. I think a member got eliminated, but it didn't really matter in the end, because then I gotta look at the replay soon to see how that all counted. All that being said and done, Fusion, it's a 2-0 victory for Presentation. Once again, another slow start comes out with a victory at the end. In overtime.
Ugh, that's interesting. That was the Clan Blitz game of all time, I would have to say.
I need to see the replay. Yeah, I need to see the replay here, because I saw one power clan. If there is a replay readily available, if not, we'll have to just read into it, and it looks like we won't. But I saw the one power clan cashed in, and all that I could find from that is, okay, they lost one. I think another power clan was spawned from the bomb side that I completely overlooked their Fusion, and that pretty much allowed Presentation to get that one in. And they also nice use of the trip strikes there from Nil to provide a bit of a smoke screen for their team to just be able to swim in and throw the power clans where it needs to. And the score was only a 1+2 push from Starfall, which wasn't a huge lead in the slightest. Two power clans was just going to completely send the lead the other direction. Presentation pretty much understood that, and that's